It's the Love Speaks series, where a little bit of love goes a long way.
Sally Lou Loveman is a mom, speaker, author, former audience producer for the Oprah Winfrey Show, and founder of Love Speaks.
The number one fear people have is speaking in public. It's actually the one fear I don't have. Join me for the Love Speaks series, where we leave fear behind and we speak love, like loving our story, loving speaking, doing what we love, loving each other, and loving ourselves. Our stories are what connect us, and they make us better humans. Join me and my Love Speaks friends for stories, laughs, inspiration, speaker tips, and some unexpected truth. Okay, I am so excited to be back in the podcast studio at Mystery Street Recording Company with a guest who is long overdue, my friend, Whitney Reynolds, who is literally, when I tell you when we first met, it was, I wouldn't call it a meeting as much as I would call it a fleeting moment at 23 years old that we're going to talk about. When she was 23, I was not 23. You said something to me, and you're living it in this moment every single day. Proof that when you speak words into the universe, things happen. She is the executive producer and host of the nationally syndicated television talk show, The Whitney Reynolds Show.
Feels so weird to say that.
It's so cool. It's really freaking cool. You call yourself Chief Inspo Officer, which I love. You have your own iHeartRadio show, Whitney's Women, and you are telling stories every freaking chance you can. Yeah. Your mantra is?
If the door closes, open up the darn window.
Exactly. And the other one is your story matters.
Oh, that's our mission.
That's your mission. Sorry, not your mantra. But yeah, the mantra of climbing the other, find one that's open. Yeah. And your story is so indicative of that mantra. So I appreciate that. But your story matters is what really rings to me.
It's the core.
And it's the core. And it's why I guess I was just drawn to you from the minute you opened up your little Oklahoma voice and screamed, I'm going to be the next Oprah. So let's just start with that. Welcome, Whitney Reynolds. I'm so happy. We're here in Chicago. It's cold.
It is nippy. But you know what? I was going to say, when I yelled, what my heart remembers hearing is you yelling back, you can do it. And
I love that. Yeah. I hope I said that.
No,
I think I said I believe you.
I needed that moment more than you would ever know, because those are how my stars have always aligned in this career.
Yeah.
And even having somebody that didn't know me from anybody else in that audience that day say, you can do it, I went home literally skipping, and I was like, that is one of those moments for me that I'm like, okay, the stars continue to align. So you're a big part of my story, believe it or not.
I love being even just a sliver of your story. And I really truly believe that when women or men say words that they have no idea will impact a stranger or a loved one. I mean, I love that. I mean, I know Harriet Seitler, my former boss, said, we've got your back. Those 4 words were like, we've got your back. Those 4 words changed the trajectory of my life. And if whatever I said, I believe you, or yes, you can, or whatever it was.
Go for it, babe.
Go for it, Whitney, even though I didn't know your name. I mean, here we were. Let me just paint the story, but I do like to hear it from your perspective. Oprah's flash mob dance show. It was 2009, maybe 10. It was 9. I think it was the 24th season, and Black Eyed Peas and the whole thing. And we're learning the dance in the warm up, and you scream,
I want to be the next Oprah.
And I say, then do it. Or I believe you. Or you can do it.
The way I really heard it is you were like, you're going to do it. And
you did.
Yeah. Well.
And you are.
Oprah paved an amazing path.
Yeah.
She really did.
Well, you have a lot of those mentors, like Katie Couric.
Exactly. It's been crazy to have people walk alongside me, believe in me. And but Katie Couric was somebody that I totally admired as a kid growing up. Katie, Diane Sawyer, Sally Jesse Raphael.
Of course. Of course.
And, but it's been very full circle in this last year, because when Katie was coming actually into town, I got a message from her inviting us to come and meet her and all this kind of wonderful stuff. And then to find that picture of me.
Of the picture of you holding, right? The sign.
I know. And it's been so cute because.
How old were you there?
I was probably like 15, maybe 14 or 15.
Oh my.
But it's been really cute because on social media, when I posted that picture, I actually had a lot of feedback, people saying like, you are not the next Katie, you are Whitney.
Of course.
And it just cracked me up because for so long, the dream, these women put this great dream out there, but now I'm able to step into my own starting line. Yeah. And so that's the beauty of it. And that's what we're walking in right now, which is so cool.
Well, that's the key to all of this. I mean, women supporting women, and you are the champion. And I love that part of you. I love doing it myself. I love connecting women to other women to make your mark as you. That's I mean, we can all try to be others, but when we're really just ourselves, that's when we find our success. And you know, I always pick a word that each podcast kind of centers on and what that person embodies. And yes, we could pick many words for you, but the word that I picked today is compassion. So this title is Speaking of Compassion. And I really believe that's what sets you apart from so many people that are on television. You have compassion, and that comes from your own story. Can you talk about that?
That's so true. And that's, you know, I lived being the stories that I tell.
Right.
And having gone through what I did as a kid, it made me run my show, run my life, run my storytelling completely different.
Right.
Because I know that I need to be an advocate. Now, people come into their stories at their own time. We have a lot of people pitch us ideas, and we tell them sometimes it's not there yet.
Right.
And it's not that we don't want to book them, but it's so important that people know that they can get through it. And this is how I did it. And this is like me in this moment. We always reiterate that stories do matter no matter where they are in that stage.
Right.
But part of our show is showing that you can prevail.
The resilience.
No matter what you're going through.
Right.
And for me, that was like the big part of it, because when I was growing up in Oklahoma, when our family went through what we did, there were moments of like, what do we get through? I didn't have a show that I could turn on and be like, hey, here's examples of getting through.
Right.
And here's stories of the overcomer. And so for a long time, I kind of ran from, I was told to kind of hide what we went through.
Of course, that was what. I mean, you're different than 80s. Me, but I mean, I'm much older. And my family, we talked about everything. But I know a lot of families that did not.
Oh yeah,
and that secrecy just all it does is just make shame rise to the surface.
The irony too is I'm from a small town, so it's not like things don't spread.
Yeah,
you know, that's the funny thing. Yeah. And like, you know, I love my family members that told me to keep it in, but it was more so whenever I was going off to college. It was like, this is your fresh start.
Right.
See, I always knew I was going to be in television. Like it was.
Yeah. I want to stop you there. I want you to specifically talk about the picture that you shared with me that I'm sure you've shared of you interviewing your doll.
Yeah. So I did that. And well, there's many different pictures. There's one that I made my best friend dress up. Sister Act was in the movie theaters. And I got a Whoopi Goldberg Halloween costume because I was like really digging Whoopi Goldberg. Yeah. And so my best friend dressed up in the nun costume. Okay. And I'm interviewing her with a microphone.
As like a celebrity? Like,
yeah. I was interviewing Whoopi Goldberg from Sister Act. I was so excited. Right. She was not Aaron Coleman that day. She was Whoopi in my living room. And it was one of those echo mics. Yeah. So I was interviewing, but that was at 8 years old in the living room conducting
I did that
my
at
own
6,
interviews.
but
I love that.
But with my sisters on the reel-to-reel audio tapes, and I would pretend that we were in a newsroom and we do this with our hands, and then they would be celebrities and we would talk. And
see, so I'm telling you,
I relate.
I mean,
although I'm not a broadcast journalist, but I'm really not.
Well,
I just like to work for them.
Well, and you're so good at it, and you tell stories so well.
Thank you.
But with that, I always knew that's what I was going to do. Yeah. There was no question on that.
No question.
But it wasn't until my 20s that I connected the major dots. Right. That I didn't accidentally have my platform. Right. The gift and my history. Right. And that's what combined.
Right. So I want to ask you about your history. Okay. So are you able to talk about stuff? Do you share with your, I don't know what you share and what you don't. I know you personally. So, but like what part of your history makes you so compassionate that you're able to share at this moment?
The only thing that's really delicate with my story, and this is what people need to remember as we live in a society that shares a lot of information. Right. My story is not just my story when it comes to the different people. Like I see faces in my mind right now. I think there will be a point when we're all very comfortable. And that's the thing with stories. Like
it takes time.
It does take time. And I would be that person that pitches my show that I say, not yet.
Yeah.
We need to wait. Even though I know exactly who I am through it all, not the other moving parts.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other moving parts with it. So with that, there will be a day, and I would love to write a book. And I would actually love for every one of my family members, their point of view is to be a chapter.
Exactly. And I think that would be super cool.
That would be the dream. I think it's going to come sooner than later. But right now I'm still protective of the story because it impacts more people. But I'll tell you what, I see people for exactly who and where they are. And that is probably my biggest biggest thing that makes me unique in the seat.
Yeah.
Because I actually... I feel with them.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of what I've lived.
Yeah. No question. I can't tell you how I respect you for being able to be patient and wait for the right story. First of all, it proves that you are an incredible journalist and an incredible family member, and you're smart. You know, I mean, there are times to tell stories and there are times not to. Listen, I wrote a book and the whole book was going to be about healing my marriage. It ended up being a small chapter or two because I have children, you know, and I have a husband and I have family.
Yes.
I have a mother-in-law, I have sister-in-laws and brother-in-laws and people that love us and we love each other and we're healing and we're working. But nobody, you know, all stories have impact on other people.
They do.
And that is something that you have to protect.
You do.
So yeah, I trust me, I understand. But I really love your patience piece around this because when it's right, it's going to be so right because it's right for you and it's going to impact so many people's lives because I know a lot of your story and I'm just grateful that one day you will share it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I get this updated sheet from my team every week. We talk about web, we talk about stories, but my most Googled things, well, it's kind of rude. One of them's rude. It's like Whitney Reynolds legs. I'm like, hey guys, calm down.
Whitney Reynolds legs?
I'm like, calm down on the legs. But the other one.
What do we like them? I mean, your beautiful legs.
But the other one is Whitney Reynolds' childhood. So I know people are very curious.
Yeah. Well, you're putting it out there, so people are curious. Yeah, exactly.
I know people are curious, and there will be the right time.
Yeah.
And the way I say it right now, though, is that we went through a very difficult situation.
Right.
And one that was paving the way in its time that we had no idea was going to be paving such a unique path.
Right.
And
right.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, like, if you meet me in person and like you know me personally,
yes.
my circle knows. You know, like I'm not one that wants to be a fraud or not authentic.
Right.
It's just to be on the national stage.
Yeah, it's different. It's totally different. It's totally different. So whereas like for me, I don't have that kind of patience like you do. So if I had a platform, I'd be like, okay, ready everybody? I'd be like, spill the tea. And I would say it and it would be wrong. So, you know, you're much younger than me, but I'm learning and I like that. And I just want to compliment you on knowing that even though you do have this wonderful platform, which you know you will use one day, that you're waiting for the right time. So thank you.
And there were many moments that when I was an intern at Good Morning America, they were doing a story very similar.
Of course.
And that would have been an easy time to pop up my hand.
Of course. Of course.
Ironically, I worked behind the scenes and helped really make sure that story was told right. Without any of them knowing I lived that.
Right.
And,
but that's part of the journey. That's part of the purpose. It's part of the manifest. Listen, I know faith is a huge part of your life. So how much does faith play into your success and watching this all unfold?
It's everything. Yeah. I mean, I would not be who I am, where I am, what I do without God.
Yeah.
Like it is who I am. And as I go bigger and bigger, it's so important that I get more intimate with my belief system.
Yeah.
And because the world, as you grow, keeps wanting to tell you more and go here, do this. But it really is so important to be in tune with what you know your purpose is.
Yeah.
And for me, this is my whole story is an only God story. Like there's no way a 20-something-year-old moves to Chicago and doesn't know one person and gets her own show. Like that just doesn't happen. So for me, it's a big deal.
I turned off the heater. Sorry, our production team, I just realized. No, it doesn't happen. There is no chance. But I also believe what you said is, going internal, going inside. God, for me, God is very important to me and lives inside of me. Mm-hmm. But what I always say this when I'm coaching people on speaking, that you can't connect with an audience until you connect with your most important audience, which is you. And I think that's pretty much God, you know? I mean, like, we can't go out and connect with other humans until we really know who we are. That's so what are some of those practices that you do to stay in touch with Whitney Reynolds?
So I do a quiet time every morning.
Yeah.
And that's so important for me to get my mind right. Again, the world, if you turn on Instagram or Facebook in the morning, is going to tell you, is going to tell you a lot of things, whatever your mind goes to when you see those images, okay? And that could be different based on who pops up first in your feed, okay? And so with that, it's so important for me to get my mind right. To know why I do what I do. Because it's really easy when you hit the national stage to get very egocentric.
Of course.
To start thinking, it's about me. It's about my growth. And really, at my core, it is your story matters. And how do I tell these stories? How do I stay super connected with my audience where they trust me and they know that we're going to bring these deep stories? I am actually going over to Colombia in 2 weeks to interview former terrorists. And this is going to be a big time for the show.
You're taking your team?
I am taking a special team, a security team. It's going to be a very interesting thing for us to do. But this is what I know my life's calling is. These old terrorists trust me. They want to make sure that they say why they turned their life around and why they're helping people now. And so we're diving into big things as a show, but in order for me to tell these stories right and to be able to go over and interview former terrorists, I would be so connected with my mission.
Totally.
Because if I'm thinking, it's because I want to take over someone else's daytime show, that's not it. You know? No, it's going to be me in my own lane. Doing my storytelling.
Definitely.
And staying super connected to our mission.
Definitely. Keep that up because that is where you find your road just opens up to what is right for you. Totally. What story just won't leave your heart? Like what you've talked to so many people. Is there one that just the impact is just deep for you?
Cassandra Tanner Miller has now become one of my inner circle people. She started out as a grieving mom on my set. This is when I taped in my house. Which
I've been to your house. I love it.
I did that. I'm like, sorry, state of Illinois.
Let me tell you something. That was a great set.
Thank you. I agree. It was my home.
Great set. Great commute. Great set. Great for COVID.
Right.
You were ready for COVID.
Wait, I was pre-COVID. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So Cassandra came in and she is a mom that the day her son passed away, she grieved and then she got his ashes collected, wears a necklace with him on her heart, and put that urn on lawmakers' desk and decided to start changing policies. And
I'm assuming it was a gun
incident?
So
she had an estranged husband, and she actually is creating a law that umbrellas a lot of this stuff I'm about to talk about. But she had let different types of authorities and different levels know that she was in danger. But unfortunately, not everybody has the same connecting of like, if you talk to this person, they protect that. And so she had let people know that her life was in danger. She thought her kid's life was in danger. And he came over and said, "Are you all ready to die?" Thought he killed her and then went up and shot their son, Colton, who was an infant, over 10 times. And then somehow, and on the show, she says, call it what you want. It could be God. It could be angels. It could have been my son coming back into me. She got a second wave of breath and saved her daughter.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And the whole thing, I mean, I get chill bumps when I talk about it. Oh my
goodness.
Yeah. So we actually had her back on, and we called it the Survivor Series because she now has created this law. It's going to umbrella the different people that she was talking to that didn't know how to work together.
Right.
It's going to umbrella that for Illinois. And now she is married and expecting a baby boy. Oh. So, but this woman is forever, like, she is one of those people that's why I tell these stories.
Yeah. No question. I mean, that has to be, I mean, you're in that seat for a reason, to share stories, but also to heal some of yourself, you know, and that in that healing, when you know that your life's work is helping others heal, that is the most beautiful place anyone can sit. That is so why true. Story is our superpower. Like, that is why when we share our stuff, whether it's good, bad, or just basic, it is what connects us with others. And that's just such a beautiful, beautiful way to operate. And it is why you have found success. I mean, this didn't just start as you wanting to be on television. This started with your story, literally, which to me is everything.
Well, and there's the component too, because I wanted to arrive so long ago. I've been pushing for national for years.
I know.
And it's amazing because, going back to my faith, God's timing is always right. Because it's so crazy. I kind of needed to be a mom to be better as a TV host. I know that sounds weird, but as I'm chatting with Cassandra on my set, a tear runs down my eye. That was not anyway created, but it was me being a mom to mom, thinking, oh my
of your
goodness.
babies.
Yes, exactly. And so the compassion piece of also being a mom has changed the way I interview.
Right.
And the way we book. Right. And the way we handle our guests.
Right.
The whole thing.
Timing is everything. And don't even try to make it yours.
I know.
You know, it's like, okay, when you hear the no, like you posted recently-ish, my question is, like, what no launched you? I know that someone said no to you and that you'll never make it on a national stage. And then you were
the guy that was supposedly found Oprah, and we're not going to mention the names.
Yeah, because I feel like when you said that name, I didn't know who that was. So I love all the people that say, I found Oprah. I worked for Oprah. Okay.
Yeah. So I got a call to go meet with this guy moons ago when I first moved here, and he supposedly founded Oprah.
Right.
And I was so excited. We met at a corner bakery downtown. And I had a really, really what I thought great meeting with him. And he is
How old were you?
I was
like
probably
26?
22, 23.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had just started, well, maybe a little bit. Actually, you're probably right. It was probably around 25 because I'd already had weekends with Whitney.
Okay.
And so I met with him, and I was dating Dave at the time because that's where I got the email. So I just thought the meeting went well. I thought he was going to connect me with maybe some people. He's no longer in television at all. Yeah. And I thought maybe he was going to connect me with some people. I was really excited.
Right.
And then I get over to my boyfriend's house at the time, and I get this scathing email that was like, you don't have anything close to what she had. You'll never make it in television. I mean, it was bad. It was bad.
And that same person congratulated you for when you went national?
And I see him at parties from time to time for magazines.
I need to know his name again.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
When we're off air, we'll talk about it because, oh my goodness. I mean, I always just giggle to myself whenever I see him now.
Isn't that just beautiful? You know, I mean, do you remember how you felt when he told you what those scathing words were? Do you remember?
Yeah. I thought I wasn't going to do it for a second.
Really?
Like, that's what, I think we all have those moments because for me, I have a little bit of time where I'll feel it.
Yes.
And then I get mad.
Ooh,
and then
anger's so
I know.
Powerful.
And then I get like, okay, I got to be my biggest yes because I've had a lot of no's. Even, at the end of this year, going into more things that I'm ready to dive into, there are still some no's, but it's just getting past that no until it's a yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I think people are starting to understand with me. I actually got a new business mentor I'm really excited about.
I love that idea.
The toy company, Melissa and Doug.
I don't know that.
So
I'm too old now.
Okay, well, it's a crazy industry. So if you're walking in Target, Walmart, any of these places, Melissa and Doug toys are kind of like the household name brand toys for
I have
kids.
many great nieces and nephews, so I will have to look at that. Yes. Melissa and Doug.
And Doug, and Melissa Bernstein is my new mentor.
I love that.
Yes, and she meets with me from New York, and we were talking just yesterday about some of these, how to handle the no's, and also to handle when you push back, being okay that people are going to say weird things because you're a woman. Right. Because that's what I'm realizing is like
you're difficult.
Yeah. Right. Well, my husband could say the same thing I say and never get told what I get told. Right. And so we were working through that yesterday. And that's what I've realized is my nose, whenever I get told something pretty hard, I take it like on the chin for a second. Right. And then I get a little angry. And that's good
because you have to feel your feelings.
I do have to feel it. Yes.
Feeling feelings and name it. Feeling feelings. And I will say, because I'm older, that no is the most beautiful gift we can get. But you can't process those no's until you've had a lot of them. Right. And the more no's you get, anyone listening, understand it's preparation for all the beautiful yeses you're going to get, because you have to get that tough skin and let it feel. You can feel it for a second, but then let it go. And the more you are, it's like working out. It's like getting in shape for understanding that is not going to happen. And there's always the reveal in the end. The big reveal is like, oh, that's why it didn't happen. Thank you.
Well, and that's my national story. I was told no for years. Right. And when I got the yes, because I had felt the no's, it made that moment so much sweeter. Right. I'll never forget. I got the call. I was trying to voice over in my kid's closet because it was during COVID. And they called me and they said, "Are you ready to go national?" And I said, "Can you hang on one second?" And I thought I muted the darn phone. And I started screaming, dancing, singing, cartwheeling, you name it, running up and down the stairs. I went down to the basement, told Dave, ran up, told the kids. And they're like, "Whitney, we hear you. We hear everything. Whitney. We can
You're not on mute."
It cracks me up to this day. They're like, "We hear everything." So, but yeah, but that was so much sweeter. But to go back and tell my younger self, like, hey, this no is really going to be your best yes in a few years. Yeah. I wasn't ready to hear it then.
Yeah. No, you have to wait. You have to hear it. You have to wait. You have to go through some stuff.
You do.
And you also are big on things happen for you quickly, and some things happen like Dave. Yeah. And then some things happen and take time, and be okay with that. So the show going national, even though you're very young for a nationally syndicated television talk show, it took a while for you. It did. Even though for me it feels like quick. But talk about Captain of Team Heiner, Dave. How did that love story? I know there was a Starbucks involved, and
So I had a flat tire, and I'm always a multitasker. Right. And so I had my laptop that was being cleaned. I have a couple people on my team that are very particular about how often we clear out our drives and do all this stuff. Okay. So that was one of the days I was picking up my laptop, but I got a flat tire on the way to go back to the office. So I dropped off my car, and they said there's a coffee shop right down the street. So I had to approve headshots. So I had 50 photos of myself to look through and pick which one I liked the best. And I sat next to the most handsome guy, and he asked if he could hook in my computer cord, and I asked him what shot of me he liked best. And that is, I mean, he knew what he was getting right off the bat with me.
There was no holding back.
No. In fact, he picked up.
I'm with my publicity shots, and I'm going to need you to tell me which one works best.
Exactly. And so that day we exchanged phone numbers. Of course, I did my little digging in on him. We fact-checked a friend of a friend on Facebook that he was not going to be a crazy guy that wanted, because he texted me immediately, and we walked around the park that night. But before we walked, we wanted to make sure he wasn't, a crazy guy. And
never date, if you're crazy, never date a television producer, because they will know right away, because they have ways. My television producer daughters are my researchers on all people. Not that I'm dating. I mean, just, just anything.
You have to be. And so we went on a walk that day, and then he invited me to a wedding, and 3 weeks later, we said, "I love you" at the wedding, which was crazy. My godmom, I love her. The next morning, she goes, "Why don't you wait for him to say it again? Because it sounds like maybe you had some wine. It was late." I was like, "No, I think we really mean this." So we said, "I love you" 3 weeks later. Well, a year to that, that first "I love you," we got married.
That's incredible.
Yes. And he proposed 3 months into knowing him, and we knew right away it was love at first sight. I mean,
it literally was.
Well, and that's it. I mean, that's why some things really do happen fast,
right?
You know, like and our pregnancy too. We got pregnant with twins, month 1 of trying. Like some things happen really fast for me. I know it's really crazy. Don't drink my water, guys, because my sister also had twins.
Right.
Like twins are just
right.
That's
and are they in your family?
They are. There's 11 sets. Yeah, but
11 sets.
But I never thought
twins?
I was going to have them because I had connected with God, and I was going to have maybe a boy first, and then 5 years later have my girl. 16 minutes later, I had my boy from my girl.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So this was not fertility. This was all just...
No, but I'm a big fan of fertility.
Right,
that's the
course.
thing is like, I love the way it's making families happen for people.
Yeah.
Like dreams are coming alive. I love that. For us, they ran in my family. But like when I see all the other twin moms, like it doesn't matter how you have twins. We're all crazy.
Right. You know? Well, I love how you mom. I mean, I love watching, you know, I'm so envious of anyone with a baby and a child and a toddler. Your twins are 5 now?
They're
or are they
5, yes.
Right? And what they have a full career. They're models. They but what I was really hanging on to were the room reveals.
Oh my
You
God.
redid the rooms. You make motherhood look like so much fun. And I know it's hard. You're a working mom. You are juggling a lot, especially in this world of COVID. And are they going to school? Are they not going to school? I have a client meeting. I have a television taping. And I have a husband who's very helpful, but he travels, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So there's a lot of moving parts. And I know you have a great village, but how like the fun is the fun part of you being a mom also part of healing some of the stuff from your childhood?
Yes, you're nailing it on the head right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is my husband and I talk about why I am an over the top mom. And because I did a big room reveal. I love their Halloween costumes. I pick out Christmas card themes way in advance.
Yours is our favorite.
Like thank you.
You're also a producer, so
I am, and I love that kind of stuff. But some of that for me is I did come from a very broken childhood.
Yeah.
And, you know, my parents get sad when I say this because I do overcompensate. And I know that about myself. Like I want to give to my kids stability.
Right.
I want to give them fun.
Right.
I love the fact that they get to snuggle in a safe bed at night. Like nothing makes me happier than that. Like I read to them every night.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of that does come from.
Yeah.
But I always knew whenever I was living in chaos that I would create this for myself.
Yeah.
And Dave was a big piece to that because sometimes when you live through chaos, you seek chaos again on accident, like underlying conditions are there.
Of course.
And that is the most beautiful thing with Dave is he is that stability. Like if he is like our pillar and just like steady. Yeah. And so because he is so steady, I get to be a little bit more of the fun.
Right.
And I had so much fun whenever I was redoing their rooms. And Flamingos, which is Marlowe's room.
Right.
Fun fact.
Love their
names. Well, oh, thank you. Flamingos they have a best friend for life. And so even though Acher and Marlowe were moving out of each other's rooms for the first time, I was like, your best friend's right next door.
Right.
You know?
That's so cute.
Yes. And then he's like,
what's Acher's theme?
King of the Jungle.
Of course.
And I know. And it's so funny. I had her wallpaper professionally done. I tried to do his, and I'm like, no one should get up on that top bunk and look at my work. You know, it was a labor of love that day. Yeah. I was like, no one talk to me.
That's so, I mean, I don't know how you do it, but like, it's so cute. And there's just so much energy and you know, first of all, Marlowe is like your mini you, and
except with curly hair.
With curly hair,
I'm learning how to do curly hair.
Right, and Acher is Dave's. Like, so it's the cutest just group of humans, and of course your doggy, Sir Crouton. Sir Crouton. And I'm a big Shih Tzu fan, so I love.
He's going to boot camp next week.
What'd he do?
Yeah, well, he's doing everything. He is in trouble.
He's in trouble.
Yeah, he's in trouble.
Is he 2?
No, he's 7 months.
Oh, he's really young.
Yeah. We lost our beloved Puffy Doolittle.
Puffy Doo. Right.
I know. In May.
Right.
And then we got Sir Crouton. And I haven't trained a puppy in 17 years, and I'm really bad at it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because you're the fun mom. Okay, so how do you see compassion in your kids? How do you see them coming out with that piece that you've instilled in so many?
That's a great question. I actually had this big moment as a mom because one thing that I've been working through is there's been a lot of change this year for us. As we mentioned, I lost my dog.
Right.
We moved homes. We moved to our dream home.
Right.
The kids started kindergarten.
Right.
So kindergarten's been a big thing because I literally dropped them off at a fence and say bye and wave and blow kisses, but that's it. That's all you can do.
Right. You can't go in and like read and do cookies.
No, I did a reading via Zoom. But one of the days that when we first dropped them off the first week, there is one kid that was ripped away from his mom because he just couldn't say bye. Right. And it was,
kills me.
Yeah, it did me too. It took like 3 weeks for this kid to like get to the point where they like didn't have to rip him, but he would still always cry. And it was really cute because one day I was dropping off my kids, and my kids are like, "Okay, Mom, like don't stay and holler through the fence like you normally do." Like I'm like, "Love you."
Right.
Check your napkin at lunch. Write your extra note. But it was so cute because the kid was crying. They'd gotten him past his mom, and then both my kids held each side of his hand and walked in together.
That's all you want.
Yes. And to see that as a mom and not say, go grab his hand.
Right.
They saw him in that moment and they helped. And that was one of those moments. I was like, okay, that is what exactly I know what's up and that we're kind of on the right path here.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh,
because sometimes as parents you question, like, am I doing twins fight, man.
Right.
So, but to see them so happy and to help someone else be able to move on and forward made me like, oh, okay, this is good.
So it's all we want as parents.
Yes.
Totally. So when you were their age, you're 5 years old, you're Whitney, you're growing up in Oklahoma, set the scene where like you knew you wanted more and you knew that you wanted this life that you had, but you couldn't really imagine it. Like, what were you wearing? Where were you? What was on the radio? Like, what were your thoughts? Was there a moment? Like, what was it?
Well, okay, so 5-year-old Whitney was still living a very comfortable life. 8-year-old Whitney is when everything changed.
Okay.
5-year-old Whitney, though, was mixing tapes with her sister where you could like hit over record and you could put the headphones into the microphone jack and pretend to do a radio show.
Yes.
So that's what we did, like on her little boombox. And so that was 5-year-old Whitney. 8-year-old Whitney really knew she was going to be a talk show host. So that's where we still had cable at the time because my mom eventually pulled it, only put it on church channels. But for a little bit, I would sneak out and watch Jenny Jones.
Oh,
and
gosh.
I know. And that is such a riot too because actually our wedding planner worked on her set.
And I worked there. Do you know that?
Okay. So
I had 9 months there.
So maybe I was watching, whenever I was like,
I hope not.
Oh my goodness. Well, anyway.
It's not my favorite time.
Oh my God. Well, I saw her, but again, what I loved is like seeing women in roles. And again, I didn't know I was going to be some life-changing mission mover talk show host at the time.
Right.
It was just TV at this time.
Right.
Yes.
You're 8 years old. It's okay.
Exactly. It was either that or I wanted to be a hairstylist. Like I talked about both. After I butchered my cat's hair, my mom's like, I don't think that one. You're really great at talking to random people. Like, maybe we stay focused.
Right.
And then so my whole childhood after that was kind of gaining momentum. And I know that sounds silly because my husband laughs at me that I was doing this, but anytime there was a chance to speak up, go on the radio for your birthday.
Right.
Or like in my high school, we had Today at Durant High School, and it's actually still on one of my favorite demo reel tapes. It's like, hi, I'm Whitney Reynolds. And I did all those things, interned throughout, even in high school when I could.
Right.
And then I also did things that would help me progress my career too by like breaking out of my comfort zone. Like cheerleading, I think really helped me, like being center court and having to like, that's something that...
Is there any piece of you that's an introvert or no?
Yeah, there used to be actually. Okay. When I switched my major in college, I was telecom, and I just had this overarching vision that TV was not going to be done the way it was doing with like the boat of a camera. I was like, everything's changing. I think you're seeing cell phones change by the second. This was like 2005.
Right.
And so I thought what they're teaching me like tape to tape is not going to be the way we do it.
Yeah.
And so I realized that I was still getting very hot whenever I would speak publicly without a camera on. So turn on a camera, I was fine. Turn on just people staring at me.
That's so interesting.
It was so interesting.
Like hot and nervous?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would get like flustered. And so I talked to actually still one of my favorite people to this day, Dr. Cunningham. And I talked to him and I said, hey, I'm thinking about switching my major. And he goes, yeah, I would recommend that because part of, if you're really going to be a national TV show host, and he believed in me too, he's like, you're going to need to be able to talk to small big groups.
Right.
Like that's going to be a big wing of your business one day. And I'm so glad he did because I broke out of my shell. I had to work hard on it though.
Well, okay, so you now not only have a talk show and your radio show and all of that, but you do so much MC work where you're hosting things. And I know what that takes. And keynotes, right. But really more yes to keynotes, but more so hosting things. How do you engage your audience as a speaker? Like, what is your secret?
Well, so this is something new we're dipping into in 2022. And actually, you're one of the first people I'm talking to about it. I can't wait. Besides
this is my jam.
My team.
This is my language.
Yeah. We're looking at Whitney Reynolds live events. So it's not anything taped for TV.
Right.
It's actually an experience where you get to come and experience Whitney Reynolds live. Yes. And with that, I want these, interactions to be so life-giving, but people to get to see the art of storytelling and how we do it. And really just connecting with the audience. So for me,
can I work on it?
Yes, you can. Yes, you.
That's my jam.
Yes, actually, this is something that so often whenever you're in TV, they want to tell you that's your lane. That's all you need to do is TV. And I'm realizing that I connect with people on all sorts of different audiences.
I mean, if you're following the Oprah track, it's what she does. So I mean, it's she did the TV. And she has her own network, but she does
just a minor detail, has her own network.
Okay, you got time. And she does her live events. Mm-hmm. And because guess why? I would imagine she misses an audience. Mm-hmm. So it's a beautiful way to create the experience. I just was talking with a friend. Her name is Christina Glickman, and she just recently launched a podcast, and she's just phenomenal. And she's going to be on my little Marion's Table Talks that is all about women sharing their talent. And her podcast, one of the episodes was strictly a story. It was about a 12-minute story about how she got 2 HBO phenomenal stylists in her closet to dress her for her TED Talk. And I'm telling you now, from beginning, middle, and end of that story, I saw that as a one-woman show. And I'm thinking to myself, she needs to do this. And she thinks it too. She's thinking it too. But I'm hearing it and I'm seeing it. And I believe we as women, and in your experience and Christina's experience and mine, that we have these stories that are ready to tell. They have a beginning, they have a middle, they have an end, there's resilience. And then, of course, they continue, where it's not a TED Talk necessarily, but it's like a TED Talk with fun and experiential moments where you're on a stage and you have monitors around you and lights and all this stuff. And it's fun.
Yeah.
And that to me is where we're heading for storytelling, because I don't know if you saw Dear Evan Hansen, but it was one of the most beautiful shows ever made on Broadway. And now it's a film, and it's him telling a story, and with all the text coming in and all the monitors. And it's just, to me, that's what we need, where we are telling stories with visuals in a community of people that are relaxed and ready to experience it.
Oh, I love that. With this season of the Whitney Reynolds Show that's coming out on April 4th.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Is it the 11th season? What is it?
Well, okay, so that's where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
So it would be our 13th season. 13th. But because it's national, we kicked it back. And because I don't want to be this is my 170th whenever I'm in my 60s, we now are naming it 3. Okay. So because it's national season 3, but it would be season 13.
Got it.
And so with this season though, you're going to see things that we've never done before. We finally have the bandwidth where we tell that kind of story that you're talking about. Yeah. And then we bring the woman in and she's in there for a little bit, and then it goes to another part. So we finally have, and I've always said, you got to crawl before you walk.
Of course.
Walk before you run. Especially for us, I think that's sometimes why shows get canceled, because they were trying to run too fast right off the bat instead of sustain and get people, used to what they're going to see and build on that. Right. So for us, we finally have the right people in place to help us storytell in ways we've never done.
Which is great. And you've had all that time to really figure out who you are, how the show works, who your people are.
Yes. And it's beautiful this season. I'm so excited. We're in studio, and then all of a sudden we go to another clip of them telling another part of the story. These package pieces are unlike anything you'll see. I know. I'm super stoked. And we finally
great
just have
producers.
Yeah. Well, it's this vision. They can take this crazy, because I get a lot of visions in the shower, and it's right after my run. Right. And so they take my visions, they're actually making it come to life. Right. And
that's the dream. Because I dream of ideas all the time. I just have no one to really do it. But I love that you've got that team that says, okay, we're going to take your vision, we're going to make it work. Mm-hmm. So you think in the shower, is that do you have your prayer time? Do things come to you in prayer, or?
It's really on my run. is whenever I'm like getting focused mentally just for the day ahead. And then it's when I take my shower after the run that everything starts flowing.
How far do you run?
Well, it's debatable. I say 3 miles. My husband says 2. So depending, he's like,
it's okay.
Yeah. So I would say 3 miles, but I do that.
And then, you'd run in snow, sleet, hail?
I used to until I became a mom. And then I've been worried, like if I break an ankle, we're all going down. So
exactly.
Yeah. So now I do the Stairmaster in the winter. I have an NFL friend that told me that's his best workout.
Okay.
And so I started doing that, and it is the best sweat if you're ever looking for a good sweat.
Okay.
The Stairmaster.
Okay. All right. I know. I love a good run. I'm not such a good runner at all anymore, so I do it very infrequently, but like in spurts and then like on the treadmill, spurts and then off, spurts and then off.
The treadmill's so tough for me.
It's so tough and it's so boring, but the Peloton one is so good, and I want one so badly for my 60th birthday. Anyone out there? Anyway, okay, so let me see. I mean, what time is it? I feel like oh my God, we're almost done. What reminds you of your purpose? That's one of my favorite questions to ask.
My kids.
Yeah.
Seeing their, little bitty eyeballs soak in the world around them makes me know we have to be better.
Yeah.
It makes me know we got to push for better.
Yeah.
And that we need to, as a collective, understand each other better.
Yeah.
And hopefully my show does that. Like on the podcast I do with iHeart, the last question we ask people, and we're interviewing a lot of singers and songwriters based on that platform, but we always ask, what do you want your legacy to be? Yeah. And when I was asking this 17-year-old this last week, her answer really struck me. Just, she's so wise beyond her years, and it's just all about bettering the place she's at. Yeah. And of course, that would be like the easy, thing to say and feel and do, but you could see in her eyes the conviction. And then she went a step further and explained how she's going to do that.
Right.
And that's what I love, is like my purpose really is exactly what she said, leaving the place better, but then how do I do it? And for me, it's through my platform.
Right. And watching the ripple effect of that platform for every person you talk to, and then every person they talk to, and they talk to. And it's just like that ripple effect. And that's the thing. You don't have Oprah's great quote, and I won't be able to say it the way she says it, but everyone has a platform. And no matter where you are, your circle of friends, your circle of Instagram followers, wherever you are, that is your show. That is your talk show. So use it with your whole heart, right. And so none of us have to have a nationally syndicated talk show to put that ripple effect of impact and kindness and all of that. That's what I try to do every day. It's how I was raised. It's why I obviously was drawn to Oprah, and it's why I'm doing what I do now. It's really makes my heart happy to know that if I said one thing to impact somebody else to think differently or get through something, that's magnificent. And you do that with your show daily and obviously in your own life. But there's nothing to make us feel our purpose than our children.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah. And just to know that we need to do our part and make it better. And, it's so interesting because one thing with our show being a storytelling type show, we get so many people that just want to be heard and seen.
Please.
And that's
it.
Yeah. And that's what anybody that emails our show, whether or not we end up doing the story, we always respond back. We see you. We're rooting for you.
Well,
we believe your story
you're
matters.
walking the Oprah path, because that's what she says, and she says every time. She said every time at the end of the show, and you own your show, right? See, there you go, Oprah. At the end of the show, at the end of an interview, she said, no matter if it was a celebrity like Beyonce or a mom who's struggling in her marriage, or a wife who's struggling in her marriage, whatever, a regular story, that person looked at her and said, "How'd I do?" So do your guests do that to you? Do they want to know how they did?
They do. And they also, some of them will give back feedback like, that wasn't my best performance. And so we now vet even harder. Yeah. Because we don't want it to be a performance. We want it to be
real.
Real. And my big thing is we are a show unlike a long time ago, whenever people wanted to see all the crazy stuff and see the reactions. Ugh. Like, I want people to walk away with their dignity from our show, too. Of course. So there's a component of, if, because sometimes our interviews can get really deep, and then we realize, whoa, we went to a level that actually is not public knowledge yet, or this. And so for us, our show is one that we're always making sure that the safe stuff is out there and everyone feels good.
Yes.
But
just like the book you're going to write one day.
Yeah, yes. But it is really, people do say, how did I do? And I'm hoping we're getting away from that because I want people to know that their story is good enough.
But it's okay if they ask it. It's not like, did I do okay? Am I okay? It's more like that is people's way of saying, did what I say mattered? And of course,
yeah. Well, then when you frame it up that way, I love that.
That's sorry. I just assumed you knew that, but that is what Oprah always says. Like they always say, how'd I do? It's just the fact that they want to know that what they said was heard and matters.
Yes.
So that's it. Good. It's all wrapped up there.
I love that.
Okay. Word you love the most. What word do you always use?
That's an interesting, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I do love the word compassion. Like
compassion.
Yeah,
that's
compassion
your word.
is one.
That's your word.
Kindness is another one.
Yeah.
Hurry for the kids.
That's a word. That's a mom word. Hurry.
Yeah.
The season you love the most.
I would say the one we're about to release.
This one?
Yeah, we put a lot of love. It has my fingerprints all over it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm like,
you're in your own.
I am. Okay. I'm more confident in my executive producing skills than ever, and I'm so proud of this season.
So awesome. The thing that you love most about producing a television show that you feel you're best at, besides telling the story, because we know that already.
No, I actually think I'm really good at like pulling out the details that for whatever reason someone else didn't catch, but I have a critical eye and that's very interesting for me because sometimes if I clean the cabinet, I can leave a piece of lettuce and thought I cleaned it, right? But like for the TV show, there's no lettuce left.
No lettuce.
Yeah,
no lettuce scraps.
Nope.
TV show you love streaming or love watching the most, and maybe you're in it now, or maybe you've watched it.
Yellowstone. We're watching it right now.
That's all I hear about.
I know.
I gotta get to that.
I know. It's a little dark though. I mean, like you don't want to watch
Ted Lasso and like Schitt's Creek. That's my level.
I love Schitt's Creek. That was our go-to. I cried the day it ended.
Me too. Yeah. Me too. It was during it was obviously we're still in the pandemic. It was during COVID, and I remember watching it. I think I had it because I was in isolation, and we watched it as a family in two different viewing buildings actually, because I was in the house outside the house because I was at my sister's, and that's how we watched it. But yes, I go back and watch it all the time.
Modern Family.
You know what? Oh, Modern Family.
I love. Old jam.
I love. I mean, I like Full House. Like I love and Bob Saget. Like my goodness, so much. A lot of. It's been a hard 2022 already in my life, and I don't know about yours, but let's just hope that in the fall maybe we're going to get in a better place. Let's hope so.
I have to believe that to keep going. I always say the best is yet to come, but it's going to be. It's going to be okay.
We pray that all of this will just make us more compassionate and resilient people.
Yes.
Which is the truth.
That is true.
Because I thought, I don't know if I could be more compassionate. I am. And I bet you are too.
Well, someone said recently this week that our old reality, one of the reasons we're having such a hard time with COVID is we want to go back to our old reality.
Right.
But this is our new
Never
reality.
going back.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so how do we build our rhythm in this new reality and still be a light out in the world?
Right.
So it was really kind of this eye-opening of like, yeah, you're right. It's not going back. So how do we beam who we are here?
I have a feeling that's what you're going to be talking about in season 3. Thank you, Whitney Reynolds. You are a life friend. I love that the universe put us together in such a unique way, and that I get to be in your front row and watch you, and I stand here with applause.
I love you. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks for being here.
How'd I do? No.
You did well. You did so well. I heard you and I see you. Thanks for listening. Your Love Speaks.